Well, welcome everybody. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. So a viewer cued me into possible Wera fakes being sold on Amazon. And he sent me a link to this guy. And as you can see, it looks like somebody's copying the design of the KK25. And it doesn't look like they were even bothered to change the color on the handle. So this may become a new series, depending on how many of these I find, where I go out and find the counterfeit tool and do a real detailed comparison to the real thing. But let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. So sort of the mark of the beast for any low quality tool is these blister packs or blow molded cases. You rarely find a quality tool in a blister pack or blow molded case. So let's see what they describe this as. A strong suit screwdriver. I really don't even know what that means. Strong suited, maybe? That doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe it says 6 sizes. Professional tools. This label comes off, so let's take a look, see if there's anything hidden under here. So yeah, it's just the label and the part number that they assign to it. Let's look on the back here. Looks like it's just a repeat of what's on the front. So now let's take a look at the real thing here. One thing you always like about these Wera tools is the box. The box is part of what makes this a great product. I know people will probably disagree with me on that, but one of the main reasons I like the boxes is actually for recyclability. I don't know if people actually save these or not, but I always recycle these Wera boxes. And I know you can recycle these blister packs. They always say that you can, but I find that it's much easier to recycle cardboard. You go to business parks, and they typically have 2 dumpsters now for every business, one for trash and one for cardboard, because anytime they get a shipment in, they're going to come in a big box packed together. And what do you do with that big box after you unpack these? You're going to recycle it, of course. And obviously these are made in the Czech Republic, not China. So it's not like they pulled that one off the assembly line and packaged it differently, which is a common practice in China for like consumer electronics. If you go on like AliExpress or Alibaba or whatever, you'll find a lot of products that look exactly the same as a high-end consumer electronic, except it may not have the brand name stamped on there. They actually have a paper shortage in China, I think, because of all the cardboard that they need for shipping. That's one of the few things that the USA exports to China is paper. When the shipping containers come over here to deliver all the consumer goods, they usually go back with these gigantic rolls of raw paper that come from the mills up in Oregon and Washington. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into this guy. I have another story about these blister packs. One of the reasons why I absolutely hate them. They actually sell light bulbs in these packs now. Like literally the bulb is in the pack. And one time I was trying to open one and it basically tore here and it flew, and all the bulbs, there was like 4 bulbs inside. They all went everywhere and all of them broke. So usually when I buy light bulbs now, I only buy the ones that come in the cardboard boxes if I can find them. Alright. Oh man, this thing feels so cheap. Look at this. It feels like this material is might be ABS. It's really lightweight. We'll have to do some weight measurements versus a real thing. But this thing should weigh a lot more than it currently does, based on the fact that it's filled with bits right now. It looks like they included this combined tool. Basically, it looks like they got different positions on here, but it's not spring-loaded. There's no spring inside. When I hit that button, it doesn't even go all the way out. You gotta kind of like it needs to be oiled or something. Alright, so now let's take a look at the real thing. So as I said before, you actually get a real box here. And first thing you notice, it comes with a case, which the other one didn't. And yeah, the weight difference is pretty significant. We'll have to see once we pull this out. Oh yeah. So let's see what happens when we hit the button. See that? The spring on this is much stronger. Even if I squeeze this part up here, it still has plenty of pressure. Whereas this one, if I squeeze up here, they really copied this. I'm looking at all the different mold pieces, and they either stole the molds or they reverse engineered it, because all the molding marks are exactly the same in both of these. So obviously this one, it doesn't have all the marks that this one has, or the detents for different positions, but part of that's because of the spring-loaded feature. When you pull back on here, it goes to that next detent that's way down here, and then you can optionally take that entirely off and put your own bit right directly in there. So let's take a look at the bits again. So it comes with, it's like 6 bits. So we get the 3 slotted and 3 Phillips. So if we try to remove the bits on this one, they're much harder to remove, feels like. Could just be my perception. So let's take a couple weight measurements here on this. So here's the counterfeit one. So we got 71 grams, 2.5 ounces. And here's the genuine one, 82 grams. So that's what, like about 15% heavier, 2.8 ounces. And you can feel the difference. It feels denser. So let's also take a measurement of the bits. We'll just average them out. So we got 30 grams. It's like it's teetering right on 30. 1 ounce total. So it looks like about the bits overall are about the same. So now let's get into some really detailed analysis in comparisons of these. So this one right here is the counterfeit one. This is the real one. So I do notice that they got the color pretty much to match. So they at least got that part right. But if you look at the details, there's so many obvious differences here. So if you look at the quality of the injection molding process, it looks like there was a little burr there on that mold that they didn't take off. And it looks like they didn't actually fill it properly, because there's actually a little gap there. Whereas right here, the rubber is actually a little bit above the plastic, where over here, it feels like it's a little bit below it. I mean, you're always going to have the part where they actually did the injection. So they double injected that. But if you look here, if you look around each of these, you don't really see any defects. Whereas you go up here and you see all this junk. I mean, look at that. Like an overmold there. They actually went into... So it looks like their mold is... something wrong with their mold there. You're going to feel that when you try using that. It's going to be annoying as all heck. So it doesn't look like they got the color quite right. This one on the right is still the counterfeit one. And you can see the font is different. This has a much deeper indentation than that as well. I'm pretty sure that I did not do that. That looks like it came like that. So if you look at the spring mechanism here, versus, you can hear the difference in, listen to the sound that this makes. It's rubbing on something. Now listen to the sound that the genuine one makes. It has a much stronger spring and it's not rubbing like this one is. Look at all this crap in here. What is this, just dust? Yeah, it was like debris or some kind of FOD in, I don't know if that's something that's being created by that rubbing or not, but you don't see it over here in this guy at all, in the genuine unit. And what I was saying about the molds being so similar, if you look here at these little notches, they look pretty much the same on both. But it doesn't look like they could be bothered to clean this part before they installed it. So hopefully this shows up. I don't know if I need to get the microscope, but you can even tell down in these little grooves, there's like little burrs or lips on most of these. It's almost like the tool that they were using was too dull and it was actually heating up the metal or something along those lines. I'm not a machinist. I don't know what would cause that, but you check out these ones on the actual genuine extension, you don't see anything in there. So yeah, if you look closely there, you can still see those with the naked eye. I put it under a loop to look at these closely, and it's pretty obvious that these are not really manufactured very strictly. But of course you can't really compare these. This has a locking feature on it, while this one just looks like it has a magnet down in there. It's not exactly a clearance fit on that, and that's the bit that came with it. You can really not move that around at all on there. It could be because it's going in deeper, but it's locked in using some ball bearings. This one. So if you look at the quality, the actual bits that were included. Now this is exactly how it came. I swear I did not put this outside for a month. Yeah, that's rust, if you're wondering. So a lot of times these cheap tools, they come with the bits like really oiled. Like, there's like a layer of grease or oil on them. That's to actually prevent this rusting, because it's such a low quality metal. It rusts extremely fast. So putting the rust aside, I also put these under magnification, and there's some really huge burrs right here. You can probably see them if you're on a big screen, but no such burrs on the Wera bit. So these were made cheap and fast, and it doesn't look like they tumbled them to remove those imperfections. So the slotted ones are not as bad with the cheap tool. So now you're probably wondering, well, how do these perform? So I know that that's not the right size bit for this screw, but often you have to use what you got. So it's a good example. I mean, it just feels really cheap. So obviously one thing this has going for it is this little sleeve here that rotates, but so one obvious difference I see in the construction is up here. The cheap one, the counterfeit one, used a metal sleeve right here, while this one is looks to be plastic. The hex holder is kind of a chrome material, where here it's actually flanged and it's like a black. And I'm not really sure how Wera assembled this. What they probably did is they pressed this in. That was probably the last step. This black piece in. And then once that's in there, there's no way to disassemble it. Whereas on this one, I can actually see a little clip in here. And I'm thinking maybe I should try taking that out. You can see right in there, there's a little clip. And I don't have the right pliers to pull that out. So we'll just try to muscle it out. Alright, you got it out. Looks like we lost a ball. We lost a ball bearing there. So I was planning on destroying this anyway. So we'll just take it. We'll try to get it all apart. That's probably holding in. Yeah. Look at this. This spring doesn't even have a flat on it. That might have been what the problem was. Because when the spring doesn't have a flat like that, it wants to like kind of cockeye to one side. You can see it's going to try to push it to that, you know, in the direction that the spring is going, and that's probably why it was rubbing. You can actually see there's some cut marks on there. Like they cut it. I wonder if they just bought a spring that was like twice the length and they cut it in half and to use it, you know, on two different units. That's bizarre. And what else do they got in here? It looks like there's a piece of plastic in here. What the heck? I'm trying to think. Maybe that was just used to make these tines harder to close. Maybe they found that it was opening by itself. Because I think when you push that button in, the button actually collapses these tines, and then that causes the spring to push on this area. So it's a good thing we took this apart. We can probably see this one's probably built very similarly, just with not as cheap materials. So let's see if we can get this press button out. Alright, push that out. Well, at least that spring has a flat on both ends. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this guy. Hopefully you guys got a good laugh out of that and enjoyed that. If you see any other products like this, then just send me a link or leave a comment down below in this video. If we find more, we may make this into a series. Well, that wraps up for this one. I'll catch you guys next time.